So, as I'm trying to move my things, as for this vehicle, yeah, say that with the rider staring straight at me as it buzzed on the buzzer for no reason. Literally, it just taps the buzz, the horn. Staring straight at me, and I'm trying to solve the problem. Tanya didn't send the emails that I wanted to know what to do to her with her, so I'm stuck. Okay, I imagine something with shenanigans of some sort, because you all know how two boys who had ride two bikes instead of this one either. My point is simple. I think a bunch of weird things happening around me at the same time. I'm trying to talk to Tanya. Her position is that you're gonna listen to that when the time comes. If you think I cannot record the call now, because the other phone now died the battery, and this phone has to be connected like charge. So I'm gonna charge the phone. Presumably from the bathroom. We cannot go to the bathroom because she doesn't have any water, and we're not gonna find water in the bathroom to drink. So we need to buy the water first. There's no car outside. There's a lot of difficulty. So when you're gonna listen to her, just notice that I want to know if, for instance, I have to go to the vet right now instead of going to the mall. And I don't know the answer because I was very adamant about Tanya. She received pictures and videos of two different cats. She received them. She acknowledged that she received them. And the answer why she acknowledged she received them is because when I asked how many mails you sent, it started with an argument. And only when I said, Tanya, the only answer I'm going to hear from you, like without hanging up, is if the next answer from me is a number. This is the level we're dealing with. This is like what a judge talks to a reluctant person that's refusing to answer the questions, right? The guy I've been watching both active judges as well as Judge Judy, which is a retired judge. This is what best compared to that call. And then I asked again, how many emails did you see of mine? It was another argument. So I hang up because I realized this is a crime, so it has to be documented properly. They love to tamper with the evidence for the calls, as to the point when I make the call, what comes back to me is muted at several points, all sorts of tamper with it, okay? It's no longer valid as evidence. So we're going to have to record another device to do it. The point is, the other devices have no charge because of the most recent of their crimes, right? It might have been intention. Don't assume that they didn't know that this was possible. Maybe this was actually the intention. So, from there, what I can say is, my things are lined up in the back, what I can say is, I cannot do it from here. So, just so you understand the context, I would have to bring everything to the mall because notice there's no car here outside, even though there are several days you see them just going around. No, and I'm coming here. Yesterday we even see again. Well, you can see the chances of that, unless I stop like I am today, I pass through here in less than a minute for sure. I would say halfly 30 seconds to a minute, right? The time spent on 30 seconds to a minute. See the ratio in which times you see that being a car outside and the car, if from Avon, the place that I point out to you since way before that, were doing things to me, versus the times when there is a car that actually stays there by the time when I get to it. Because I think that more than 50% of the time, you physically see someone coming out of the mall to pick up the car than any of the other outcomes, either no one picking it up or not being there in the that's the thing, not being there in the first place on account of it. Yeah, my brain, right? And we're going through a lot. So I'm just putting that in perspective. But I'm saying that I'm going to have to go back inside the mall and note that she didn't even give him a straight answer. She cannot force someone else she was interacting with to do anything. I only wanted from Tanya a straight answer. Because if not, then I'm going to continue. I would actually have continued in the bus, but now it doesn't make all that much difference. So I'm going to have to bring everything inside the mall, through all the process, and then maybe not end up not leaving because things can deteriorate. Also, the clouds over there are pretty bad, pretty dark. I think it's gonna rain quite a lot. We're gonna move very slowly with this, so right here's pretty clear. So just because, when I asked something as simple as how many of my emails have you seen, the answer was again not a number. And if you think I'm being facetious on that, on what I'm saying, again, talk to judges. They're very familiar with people doing what Tanya just did. It happens very often based on YouTube videos alone. I don't know how many times it happens a second. Okay. So it's nothing I can do. I can try to call her again, but it doesn't matter. So long as I cannot document that, I won't be satisfied. I cannot force anyone to do anything. I cannot stop their crimes, right? So the idea that Tanya will be doing crimes is what I tell about her every day. The idea that she'll be trying to make it difficult, make it hard, make it tiresome, put so many rocks in my way that I give up stepping on them and just give up is Tanya's method, much like the other criminals. Okay? Except that she doesn't have the outreach to do more of the direct drug crimes and the physical crimes you see some of the other criminals do, like Gelson. Although Gelson is Tanya from Foz do Iguaçu. So same roles and what she does is that, right? Not to mention the other things you saw from before, the arguments, the words, the general assumptions. Before it was more between impressions or everything else, not to mention the more direct crimes, right? Talking about someone who, when I literally told her that people listening to this call, we started to do a laundry list of things, both true and false. And even the ones that are true, sometimes out of context, sometimes not. But the fact that you have both of those happen as an immediate response to me saying that other people listening to this call, please, careful what you're saying, is the textbook thing for this war crime. And it's the reason why I say Tanya and her friends, and it's the reason why it is also part, she's confirmed criminal, amongst other, many other reasons. I think today I'm full-blown generic explanations videos the entire day, presumably. Might as well just mention these ones about Tanya, okay? So, as a glance, what I mean by that means that how many times Tanya said that I destroy every single whole clothes that she had, even though she rarely buys clothes, and apparently when she says about it makes sense because she says this like in a row. So it's something like on the time span of like 5 months, I destroy all her clothes 2-3 times in 5 months, and she doesn't buy new clothes. So it'll be a kind of reality breach there. So if you don't know what I'm looking at, here's my thing. As we sing, as a guy who have food stolen from her, as a guy who had people destroying the property, destroying the bags so many times, I'm very self-aware about my things, so that's why I keep learning all the time. You'd see many criminals like the one just passed on me, acting pretty weird for the, insane behavior, looking to your things, because clearly there's somebody else there, so those things that belong to someone, in this case belong to me. I picked the one. As a perspective, compare behaviors with that behavior. So see which one makes sense and which one does not. Now you'll be thinking, then why you justify yourself in the context of this? And well, I am justifying myself because of the gaslighting that comes from this. Now the reason might be also there. So it's convenient that I have an excuse based on his behavior. Maybe not. And as for that, based on things. So now again, I could be just clearly talking on something like that. I was talking on the phone and I hold the phone weird for a variety of reasons. Let's say because someone damaged the bed. And
Seu gato.
No, that is the actual stalking other than myself would have been coming from that. I just want to point out that this criminal walked all over there by the street, looked into the street, not the road, like not the sidewalk, and then went back straight there. The cat made no noise, nothing happened. It just went there, then paraded back for you to be seen, and then said that to you, just like that. Now we can coincide to the vehicles parking by, and I do believe that there are stock vehicles there, but I cannot make an assumption about them because it is even though in my opinion, a very, very small possibility that they might not be related to this. Or the criminal, that isn't. That is a behavior that is consistently and systematically bizarre enough that you would think it definitely would be as part of this. I want to just point out one more thing apart from the fact that it keeps turning. The general point that by the way, the beauty that happened as it was justifying why I kept turning back, and you get to see this is another talking point of this crime that you see all the time. So, as answering the actual question as to why I keep turning all the time, things like this, obviously, but also why did you explain that? It might have been not just gaslighting, but why would you think that if after clearly talking to someone, and by the way, how weird it is you holding in the back, right? People talking usually filming themselves, they film from the front camera, they don't film from the back. So more likely from the phone being upside down, very close to the microphone and the rest, and I'm not doing this, for instance, which I could be doing, and I will do it now. That instead of that, I'm essentially just recording or talking something to the microphone, which is sensible, even talking on the headphones to someone. And this is what a reasonable person would assume. On the other hand, what kind of reasonable person would assume based on someone doing like that? Okay? So, that's what you say. Bizarre things like this are roughly how you would see, but instead of focusing on a cat, you'd be some random person asking, where do I live? And again, just like that, like, where do you live? What you should assume, even for most people, would be the equivalent that should say, does your family live? What kind of person? That's such a strange person. Right, now, again, now I have a sticker. And you remember saying which poop is going to stick to the wall? Now they have a more sticky one. But, no, actually, I'm concerned about Chip. Chip. Better be boring, actually. It's just a long climb. Ah, yeah, there's lots of drugs in here. A lot of narcotics in the air. The slowing down, the pushing down, the low demeanor, the overhaul, everything. It's very consistent. Those are what I call exhaustion drugs. I imagine some type of opioid. I mean, when I think about the drugs, what I imagine is an opium house, from old times. Now again, I don't. There's some circles over there as well for you. I noticed that it started way within after Tony's call when I was explaining. And it's just more circles for you to see. You see many of those criminals targeting in those situations. So, major point is, much like I talk about subscriptions and likes and other things, this is not an entertainment medium. This is a medium of reporting on a war crime. Because of things like the email not being open now. Notice how the email isn't opening? And I actually wanted a straight answer from Tanya to know if they tampered with the email or not. That was a very pragmatic, practical reason that I needed a straight answer for. That would change my path. And she couldn't provide that. So here's the deal. That criminal pulled this from her, probably causing her to freak out. Because, funnily enough, I filmed her in the way down. Make from that what you will. By the way, that's her home. That's her bed. Or the closest thing to bed. So she stays warm in the cold. And presumably the rain. And when they throw things on us. I just want to point out, what kind of person, apart from all the things you saw, would have pulled that from a random bag from clearly someone else and put that in the ground? This is circus for you too as well, I can guarantee that. So pay attention to those faces. Not a single person that is not involved in this. Notice the volume in which they are rising up for you to see, and my behavior. Yeah, they just stopped talking. There's literally abrupt silence the second that I kept talking up far away enough. This was not tampering, this was real. And then there's a little screenshot shot of that. Okay, notice the speed in the way that I've been doing, extremely slowly. It helps you actually figure it out. Sometimes I actually do slow down very artificially to make it abundantly clear for you to see. As I said, it's like I'm not pointing the phone straight vertically, because then you can get faces. No, you can get faces anyway.